Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Yesterday, something interesting happened on First Things First. Now, as you guys on the panel of Nick Wright, Kevin Wiles, and Chris Broussard have a very, very entertaining show. And if you know anything about that show, you will know that Nick Wright is the resident LeBron James fanatic, and Chris Broussard is a resident LeBron James fan. Right? There's a fundamental difference. And Kevin Wiles, I think, is a Jordan guy, but he seldom gives his viewpoint on some of these issues. Now, what has been one of the key storylines about LeBron James throughout his NBA career? It's always been LeBron needs help. He needs help. He needs help. He never has help. It's something that they do in the media all day long. Is one of the reasons why they're always talking about, at least for the last 3 years, who the Lakers need. Who can they go out and get? Can they get this player? Can they get that player? That always seems to be the talking point from these guys. He needs help. And then the other thing is, and we've all complained about this, which is it's never LeBron's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. It's the coach's fault. It's his teammates' fault. It's the organization's fault. It's always someone else. And people have been able to make excuses for him throughout his entire career as to why he can't win. For example, LeBron is the only player that some people in the media try to actually not hold losing against him. The first time he got swept in the final, he was a pup. The second time, it was Dwayne Wade. The other time, he was just outmatched. It's like, well, so what? You guys have an excuse for every single time the guy loses, but then with other people, you don't give them that same leeway. So this is what, if you follow basketball for the last 10, 15 years, you know that this has always been the talking point. And it's something that you seldom see LeBron fans bring up. They just totally ignore it, the way they ignore losing. But yesterday, it seemed like Chris Broussard finally reached his breaking point. Yesterday, they were discussing the Los Angeles Lakers dropping that game against the Golden State Warriors. And during Nick Wright's monologue, he then, as always, took it upon himself to now start blaming Darvin Ham. And to be fair, there are a lot of clown-ass creators that they always do that. Whenever the Lakers win, they either give credit to LeBron or AD. They sometimes give it to Austin Reeves. And then usually when they lose, Darvin Ham. You can just go look at their videos. That's their whole analysis. And they never put it on the players. And if they do, the player that they most likely blame is AD, and they almost never blame LeBron James. Never. I see them. But it seemed like yesterday, Chris Broussard actually reached his breaking point with Nick Wright, and he absolutely went ballistic on him when Nick tried to use this thing of, it's not LeBron's fault, it's the coach's fault. He absolutely went off on him, and I absolutely enjoyed it. So what we want to do is want to play this exchange for you now, and then we'll come back and really react to it and give you guys our thoughts on it. Take a listen to this exchange here.
Into the 73-win season. You should be able to chalk it up to that. But the reason I can't, and the reason I was angry tweeting, which I promised America I was going to try to do less of, the reason is because despite all of it, the Lakers had a chance in this game. And then Darvin Ham rolled out for the first time. Brew, I knew you were, hold on. This is going to make me mad.
Darvin Ham's fault.
Well, let me
Darvin Ham's
hold
fault.
on, wait. Here's the thing on this. Let me show you the lineup, and then let me ask you whose fault it is. Because let me show you the lineup that he rolled out there. These 5 guys who had played going into the end of the third quarter last night, let me check watch, 0 minutes together. And you know why? Because that's an absurd, it's D'Lo, a worse version of D'Lo and Dinwiddie, a worse version of Dinwiddie and Gabe Vincent, and then Taurean Prince and Jackson Hayes. That lineup, and they let go of the rope, and the game's over. The game was over in 3 minutes. And I know you think I'm too hard on Darvin Ham, but here's my question to you, Brew. AD's been excellent and healthy. LeBron's been excellent and healthy. You like the roster. I don't, but you do. Okay. So why aren't they better
I don't
other
think
than the
LeBron's
coaches?
playing as well as his numbers suggest.
Okay.
He doesn't impact the game. He was great last night.
Yeah.
He couldn't impact the game. We saw it against Denver. Great.
So
couldn't impact the
get
game.
mad at, so you agree with Wilds then?
No, I'm not saying he's the problem. I mean, Wilds says he's the problem.
So
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the numbers are giving you the impression. Because if you got a guy putting up the numbers say he's as good as ever.
No, I know he's not that. Nobody's saying that. But do you think...
And he doesn't dominate games anymore.
No, okay.
Not regularly.
I get that, which is why they're not a champion contender. But that's not the problem here. My question is this. The Lakers have...
I'm just saying with LeBron, and you know how much I love LeBron. But I'm tired of every time his team doesn't win a championship or doesn't get close, it's somebody else's fault.
But hold on a second.
It's always the coach's fault or the teammate's fault. It's not.
But right. So
he's not to blame, but I'm just saying they're not as good as people think.
Hold on, but wait. So this is the discrepancy here. I agree with you that LeBron is not able to carry a team, obviously, to championship contention by himself. Nobody.
He ain't even being asked to do it by himself. He's got Anthony Davis.
Okay, but here's my question. If we will just go as conservative as possible, Anthony Davis is one of the 15 best players in the league, and LeBron's one of the 20 best players in the league. Okay, be as conservative as possible, meaning
that's very conservative.
Very conservative, right? Mm-hmm. So why? So if I just say LeBron's the 18th best player in the league, I think he's probably closer to 8th, call him 18th. Why is the team not better? If you have...
It's on the players, man. I'm not trying to defend Darvin Ham. I'm just saying, if it's not Darvin Ham, it's Luke Walton, it's Frank Vogel, who has a championship, by the way. Play the game. All right, just go out there. I mean, we can look at any coach. Steve Kerr, was it his fault? Was he all of a sudden a bad coach when the Warriors were struggling? Some people were throwing out Steve Kerr like, oh, he ain't doing a good job. No, I'm just saying.
No, but Steve Kerr has a resume of a good job. I guess here's my thing. What evidence do we have Darvin Ham's a good coach?
Last year they got to the Western Conference Finals. And nobody expected them to.
And you thought...
How about that?
So you think so...
I'm not saying he was working magic, but I think he did a fine job.
Okay.
So you heard the exchange there. If you listen to Chris Broussard speak, you could tell that he was beginning to get aggravated with this talking point. Here's what's interesting. I regularly listen or watch The Odd Couple on Fox Sports Radio. And I have heard Chris Broussard bring up this point to Rob Parker on many different occasions. And I've always asked myself, I said, but why doesn't he bring this up on TV? Why doesn't he bring it up on TV? Because I believe it's a pertinent point to highlight when you're on television. So yesterday, for him to get to the point where he was like, no, I have to say this, you know that Nick Wright was irking him. But this is what they do. This is what they do. Let me encapsulate this entire situation for you guys. Do you know that coming into this season, most folks thought the Lakers were going to be good, including myself? Most people thought this. They thought that the Lakers were going to be at least, or at best, a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. I don't think anyone predicted, based on the run that they went on last year, that the Lakers would be... Let me look at the NBA standings right now. The Lakers would be the 9th seed in the Western Conference, and they find themselves fighting in the play-in tournament against Golden State, and that's the team that they will most likely face on April 18th, whenever we find out who's playing who. I don't think any of these guys would have predicted that. But given the fact that that's what's occurred, they now have to find some other reason, apart from blaming the players, the star players, for why this team is underperforming. Now, why is the Lakers not living up to expectations? It just could be that the Lakers had an IPO this summer, and some people bought into the hype, including myself, and you went out there and bought the shares at $100 when they were really worth $30. Because essentially that's what's happening. We thought we were getting something good. After we got the product, we found out it really wasn't that good, and people started selling off. And then you realize that the real market value of the Lakers is actually $30. What am I talking about? People figured out that, wait a minute, we thought this team would be better than they actually were, but now we're realizing they're not. Now, some people say, but how do you know that? You can look at the record. If you look at the Western Conference, the only plausible explanation that I could come up with is, for the Lakers being the 9th seed, is that all the other teams are just better. Now, some people have said, but they beaten certain teams. They beaten this team 3 times, 4 times, 5. I understand that. But the record shows what it shows. That's why Kobe always said, you are who your record says you are. Right now, it is unclear to me if one could say that the Lakers are on the level of the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the Clippers, and the Mavericks. I'm not exactly sure how we could come out here and say that. They're just not. It just seems to me that the only answer here is that those teams are just better. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not coaching. Maybe it's not this. Maybe it's not that. It's just that they're playing in a tougher conference. Welcome to the West. Welcome to the West, LeBron. This is what it's like every single year. I remember there were years where Kobe, for you to make it to Kobe, the Lakers had the number 1 seed, and I think the 8th seed they won 50 games. That was the Oklahoma City Thunder. Welcome to the Wild Wild West. So if you're the 9th or the 10th, you missed the playoffs. Welcome to the real competition. This is a standardized season, and you're seeing it for what it is. I've been noticing a problem that is beginning to take hold within the NBA community, which is I'm noticing a lot of hate for foreign players. I'm noticing a lot of it. It's coming from NBA players. It's coming from NBA fans. And it's something that I believe is very, very disheartening. The reason I'm saying it's disheartening is because if you call yourself a basketball fan, you should be happy to see great basketball players if you are a fan of the sport. But all too often these days, I see these constant attacks towards foreign players. Last year, there was this campaign against Nikola Jokic. I think it was the last year or the year before that, one of those years, but I think it was last year, where Kendrick Perkins came on television and basically said that Nikola Jokic was essentially out there chasing stats. That's essentially what he was doing. Then JJ Redick jumped into the fray and everybody started fighting and arguing, and they found a way not to give him the MVP award. And it went to Joel Embiid. And at the time, people were upset because they're like, bro, this dude about to win his 3rd MVP. Like, he hadn't won a championship. Fantastic. Nikola Jokic says, okay, y'all can have the MVP. I'm going to go out here and get the finals MVP. And that's exactly what he did. And now this season, you're hearing various people, like, for instance, Gilbert Arenas, he came out and said that Nikola Jokic, if he were to win the MVP, it would be the worst player in the last 40 years to win the MVP. Now, Gil is slick. And I told him about this. He said, well, I'm talking about records and all of that. I said, but you know, when you say the worst MVP ever, you know, you're also saying subliminally that this is the worst player to ever win the MVP in the last 40 years. We know that. That's the reason you got the pushback. That'd be patently absurd to say something like that. Nikola Jokic is amongst some of the best players to ever win the MVP. Quite literally. Quite literally. And Gil was aware of that. But I'm beginning to notice this trend that's really, really disturbing, which is now it's going beyond sports, where you now have entertainers saying the same thing. Now, what am I talking about? This morning, I opened up my phone, scrolling through Instagram, and I see a clip from ESPN. And apparently they had like a night party watching game where you had various celebrities. And in this particular clip, I saw Kevin Hart and Cedric the Entertainer. And in the clip, they were talking about MVP. And they basically started saying Nikola Jokic cannot win the MVP. And Kevin Hart went as far as to say it would be bad for the NBA if Nikola Jokic won the MVP. What we want to do is want to quickly play what they had to say. It's about a 30-second soundbite. And then want to come back and react to their comments. Take a listen to that.
You also got to think about the Joker. The Joker.
They cannot give Joker any more MVPs.
No.
The NBA cannot give
yeah.
Joker any more MVPs. It's not good for the NBA.
Yeah.
Joker cannot win another MVP. Let's just.
And he's doing his thing.
Can he
but
win
he
another
just not-
Finals MVP?
Well, that's different. That's playing the game. But the league MVP, I feel like you're right. Like they can't really do that at this moment. And he's having a great year, but it doesn't feel like that dominant year the way I would say SGA is. You made a very great. Man, you know what? I just sided with you, Kevin. You just did it. You just sold me.
No,
Anybody
no.
show of hands?
Thank you, man.
Anybody else with Kevin?
terrible.
Show of
Thank you,
hands?
man.
That's terrible.
The only other player.
Yeah, let's do a Twitter. Let's do a Twitter response. Let's see what everybody says.
So you heard what the gentleman had to say. I thought that was an absolutely ridiculous thing to say. 100% ridiculous, absurd. Why would it be a bad thing for Nikola Jokic to win the MVP? We're not talking about him being the face of the NBA now. Why would it be a bad thing? Let me tell you what's going on here. Now, some people are going to feel a type of way. Some blacks are going to feel a type of way. You can kiss my ass. I call it exactly how I see it. If I see white people doing some BS, I'm going to call it out. If I see black people doing some BS, I'm going to call it out. Ain't no staying on code. I'm staying on truth. Yo ass can stay on some bull. I'm calling it like I see it. Black or white. What is happening here are two things. Those comments have everything to do with the fact that Nikola Jokic is a white dude. And it has the other thing it has to do with is the fact that he's a foreigner. Those are the two things at play here. We all know this. We all know this. We all know exactly what is going on. And that's the reason why even some people in the comment section on that post were responding to it. Let me read some stuff. One person said, these two jiggers don't know bleep about sports. Another person said, cue the yearly media campaign to stop Jokic. Insane. Another person said, it's because he's white. Another person says, if you deserve an MVP, you deserve the MVP. Plain and simple. Another person said, that's why they're comedians and not basketball analysts. Ridiculous. Another person said, Shy over Luka is laughable. Another person said, it's Jokic or Luka. Simple as that. Another person said, what they're really meant to say is, it's because they're white. Another person said, stop putting these goofs on TV. Another person said, it's not good for the guy who's putting up numbers to get awarded for it. And then finally, another person said, why do y'all hate Europeans? Let me tell you what's really going on here. Those two reasons that I just mentioned is why all of this is happening. I'm noticing a pattern, and Gilbert Arenas, I'll text him about it so it doesn't look like I'm talking behind his back. Because usually if I do shows, I would send him the clip. So it's not like I'm dissing him or sneak dissing him. He's usually aware. And we always talk basketball. Nothing personal, nothing rude or whatever. I noticed something about Gil's critiques on players. I've noticed they're all foreign players. All of them. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Nikola Jokic. Who was another guy he was going at? The other guys he didn't go at is Joel Embiid and SGA because now he's trying to claim but they're not really foreigners. I mean, he Canadian. They're not really foreigners. Really? You go try to stay in Canada for more than 6 months as an American and you find out whether or not if you're an American or Canadians are the same. Your ass will be deported. They're not Americans. They're Northern Americans, yes, but they're not from the United States. It's a different country, folks. Had Joel Embiid not gotten his American citizenship, they wouldn't be claiming his ass. The only reason they claiming his ass is because now he's a dual citizen. All these other years when he was on a work visa, special work visa, which was what he was on, I never heard nobody claiming his ass. To me, this entire thing looks weak as hell. And it looks like it's coming from a place of fear. Why are you afraid? Go compete against these dudes. Instead of getting mad, get even. Instead of getting mad, get even. Get even. Like, let's stop with the BS. If you think these guys don't deserve it, go beat them. It is literally that simple. Quite literally. Zion Williamson was supposed to be the face of the NBA. He came in, all this hype, he got caught up in some BS. Victor Wembanyama most likely will start being the face of the NBA quite literally very, very soon. He had his moment. He effed it off because of his dieting and some off the court stuff. John Morant could have been the face of the NBA. Who stopped him? Himself. Who stopped him? Himself. Nobody did. Nobody did anything to. He had his moment. LeBron had a chance to be the face of the NBA, and he did it. He didn't get into trouble. There was no nonsense, no nothing. Jordan the same way. He had the chance to be the face of the NBA. He did it. No nonsense, no trouble, no nothing. Because I know there's some jackasses in the back. Oh, you're only saying that because you're attacking FBAs, foundational black athletes. That's what they're going to say because they're stupid. So that's why I brought up LeBron and they're stupid. They think they're smart, but they're stupid. So I threw those two examples to totally neutralize the stupidity. This looks bad. It looks like y'all are afraid of these dudes. And what I like is they're blacks that are in America and around the world that are seeing it, that are calling them out like, yo, y'all are hating. You know, there are black people that actually disagree with this stuff. Don't let a few of these xenophobes running around try to make it seem like that's what all black people think. No, there can actually be xenophobes. It's not that, oh, xenophobia only exists when you leave the United States and you go to other countries. I felt it before. I've lived in Europe. I've lived in Africa. I've lived in the United States. So I felt it all across the world. But it also exists in the States. It's a human thing. It's not a foreigner thing. You can feel it as well. And a lot of you dudes is weak for this. I hope Nikola Jokic wins 7 MVPs. I hope he wins 7. Just to piss you dudes off. The one thing they can call him anything, but the one thing they can't call him is trash. And they know it. Anybody talking on Luka Doncic, he's way better than, Nikola Jokic is way better than all of them combined. Who's critiquing Nikola Jokic is on his level? Nobody. Nobody. Y'all needed to take a page out of Kobe's book. Kobe was a global citizen. He was open to foreign players. Y'all asses need to take a look. Oh, let me guess. Kobe is not a real FBA, although he is, because he supports. Y'all are idiots. And that's how I feel. Y'all can run and go cry to whoever the hell y'all run and cry to your Tariq Nasheeds or whoever the hell it is you run to. I'm standing on my own too. I mean every word that I'm saying. I'm not with the nonsense. I have friends that are from all over the world. My wife is a black woman. My parents are black, quite obviously. My best friend is an Italian. I'm cool with people from Syria. I'm cool from people all over the world. It's called having an open mind. That's what it's called, having an open mind. Don't be the people that you're always and whining about. Oh, they hate us. What are you doing? Why would Kevin Hart, somebody as traveled as he is, Kevin Hart has been all over the world. And for him to come out there and say something like that is crazy to me. Kevin Hart is not just some dude. He's a comedian worth hundreds of millions of dollars that have traveled all over the globe. Now imagine if people from other countries that he goes and tours in says, man, he don't deserve to be on this stage. We should only have people from our country perform on our stage. Then your ass will start hollering about racism and what they doing to us and why they're xenophobic. You don't see how it comes full circle. Man, it's embarrassing. I'm not with these dudes that's doing this. I don't have any fear of foreigner. Let the best man win. And finally, let me close on this point. Who is so stupid enough to think that you can exist in a world where you don't collaborate with people? So let me ask you guys a question. Since some of you guys are so provincial in your thinking. If you're building a hotel in, let's say in Dallas, Texas, and you want to build a 5-star hotel, and you want it to have the best amenities and have the most luxurious tiles, and you find out that the best tiles with the best design are only manufactured in Italy, are you telling me you would not go to Italy and get those tiles from Italy because they're Italian? Then you're an idiot. Then something is completely wrong with you. What about the technology? All of the software that goes on the computers and all of that, is everything produced in the United States? Is it everything? No. It's a global world we live in. Companies like Shell, BP, all of them exist all throughout the world that benefit some economies in the United States and other so they shouldn't go do business there? This is what happens when you don't travel and you're closed-minded. And I said it. And whoever feels the type of way, unsubscribe from the channel. This is not the channel for closed-mindedness and people that cannot think broad in a broad manner. I am sorry. Y'all found the wrong one. I am not with this closed-minded, xenophobic nonsense. I am sorry. Yesterday, something interesting happened on First Things First. It seemed like Chris Broussard reached a breaking point with one of his favorite players, a player that he has number 2 all time. I don't know how he has LeBron number 2 all time, but anyway, that's his opinion. But it seemed like he reached a breaking point with LeBron and Nick Wright. Nick Wright is the resident LeBron James zealot, all right? He's a zealot. He's not even a fanatic. He's a zealot. For those of you who don't know what a zealot is, go back and go play Halo 2. You remember them dudes with the swords? They can go invisible. They would go hard for anything. That's Nick Wright for LeBron. He's one of them, right? They don't play. And they never seem to run out of excuses. Now, one of the things that people have been using to say that LeBron is a far more superior player at an advanced age than Jordan is his accounting stats, his numbers, right? You look at his scoring, field goal shooting percentage, 3-point shooting percentage, and they're like, LeBron is clearly a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. Look at his individual statistics. Without realizing that LeBron is a master at stat padding. He is a master at doing it. No one stat pads better than LeBron. Nobody does it. He is that gifted of a player that he can do it at a pretty high level. And it seems like Chris Broussard yesterday noticed that and decided to point it out, because yesterday Nick Wright was on this tirade about why the Lakers are so poor as a team. They're not good. And he was looking to blame Darvin Ham. And he's like, but what about LeBron? What about the players? And then Nick Wright was like, but look at LeBron's stats. And he's like, but Nick, LeBron is a savvy enough player to be able to get his numbers in this league and make it look good. But his numbers have absolutely zero impact on the game, which essentially means that they're just empty calories. For those of you who didn't see Chris Broussard say that, want to play for you now. We're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to that there.
I'm on to all your Wild's dirty tricks. Wild's tried the other day to have, we had Josh do the same research, but for different ends, which was, is there any number we can point to that says actually LeBron's hurting the Lakers? And the answer is no.
And is somebody saying he's hurting the Lakers?
Well, Wild's
are you saying he's hurting the Lakers?
I'm not saying he's hurting the Lakers, but trying to find the culprit on why this team, which is excellent and has 2 All-Stars and 2 top 20 guys conservatively, top 13 guys, optimistically, is sitting at the 10 and fighting for their lives.
Right. Here's what I'll say. LeBron is skilled enough, especially with adding the 3-point shot, and smart enough in an NBA where it's darn near impossible to really defend with the floor so spread. He knows how to get his numbers. He's smart enough to do that, but he's not impacting the game even close to the way he used to, in part because he used to be a terrific defender. And now he doesn't do much at all on that end of the floor, occasionally here or there. But I'm saying that it looks like LeBron, like I said, he's not playing as well as his numbers suggest. How about that? Because 2 25-point scores and one of them is a great defender, you'd think they'd be better.
No, so I agree with you that if you can't just pull up LeBron's stats this year and compare him to LeBron's stats in 2012 and be like, look, same guy. Even though he's a better 3-point shooter now than I totally agree with that.
So you heard what Chris Broussard had to say. If you paid attention, Nick said something to the effect of, you can't pull stats from LeBron this year and compare them to 2012 and say that he is the same guy, when that is the very thing Nick Wright has been doing all this time. How many times have we seen Nick Wright pull up graphics on television when he was like, LeBron is better than he's ever been. Look at his numbers in 2012 or 2013 and look at his numbers now. The numbers say he's better. Really, Nick? Does it? Does it really? These numbers are inflated numbers and they have absolutely zero impact on victories. Numbers that actually contribute to victories: Nikola Jokic, SGA, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic. Those guys' production actually affects winning. In the case of LeBron, it doesn't. Why doesn't it? Because the guy is old and he couldn't do the things that he used to do before. And one of those things he used to do before is defend. LeBron is not the greatest defender of all time. He's not the greatest defender to play this position. He's not a top 3 defender to play this position or top 5 defender to play this position, but he's a good enough defender. Now, some people say, wait, of course he's because of LeBron fans. These people, LeBron is better. He's better. He's probably the one that turned water to wine, according to these dudes. There are a lot of players that have played this position that are way better defensive players than he is. A lot. I can give you 3 off the top. You have Kawhi Leonard. You have You have Scottie Pippen. You have Ron Artest. There's so many other players. I just can't remember them, but I know that there are a lot of players that have played that position that are like guys that have won Defensive Player of the Year caliber like award. Those guys are hella defenders. But even to Nick Wright. Nick Wright said at one point LeBron was the best defender in the NBA. That's Nick Wright. The guy that made 5-6 all defensive teams is the best player. One of the best player in the defensive player in the NBA. When you had Dwight Howard, you had all of these other. You had Bruce Bowen, you had Shane Battier, you had Ron Artest, you had Tony Allen. Nick Wright gonna jump up and holler, "Oh, LeBron was the best player." Blah 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 blah. So that's that. But the point that Chris Broussard brings up is a good one. And let me tell you what's gonna happen. Chris Broussard is gonna get a rude awakening from some LeBron zealots who are gonna start telling him, "Hey, he's hating on LeBron. You can't even tell the truth no more." You're simply not allowed to tell the truth anymore. They're going to start calling him, "Oh, he a hater." That's what happened. It's like, I remember the time when Shannon Sharp went on ESPN First. They can call out LeBron for his Miami comments. Gilbert Arenas was like, by you hating on your man. I'm like, hating on him? The guy gave an opinion that he didn't always 100% agree with him. And they turned around and said he hating. Or he's not supposed to say that. I'm like, all right. So Chris Broussard, they're going to come for you, man. Appreciate your honesty in that segment. I thought it was needed to have some damn balance.